Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another playlist video. On this one, I was going to give a quick rundown of everything I was going to cover so you'd know whether it was worth staying to the end. But that might be something I do with the next one. This one is going to be a little bit chaotic. Some things I'm getting to know, some things I've known for ages. There's a lot on my playlist pile this week as I'm heading towards Christmas at the time of doing this. So I'm trying to clear the decks and focus on my rundown of the best things of 2024. So there's stuff all over the place. So some things I'm just going to show you because they're coming soon as separate videos, and some things I've just enjoyed playing them. And as before with any of these videos, let me know in the comments, what are you playing at the moment? Let me know. So, what have I got? This will be a separate video. It's part filmed. It's The Faces at the BBC. It's a big box set. I felt it was overpriced, but all of a sudden on Black Friday, the price dropped by about 30-40%. So I jumped. So this is something I'm wading through at the moment. So I don't want to comment too much now. But I am doing a separate unboxing video for that. The next one is a similar thing. In fact, the next two are. This is Hawkwind, Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do. Did I say? I probably said that wrong, but you know what I mean. It's the deluxe edition. So many of you have said, Philly, you're going to cover this because I've covered the others. I am. I've still got to go through the Blu-ray discs, so I don't feel I should comment as yet. And also, as it's near Christmas, Jethro Tull are in the house, so I'll cover that as well. So what kind of things I've been playing that's just because I want to take it off the shelf? I think the last one I did of these, I had some Rolling Stones in it. There's been some Rolling Stones stuff going on as well. This is Under Cover of the Night from 1982, 83, was it? And this was an album, I believe, that Mick Jagger now looks back at this and goes, dunno. And a lot of critics look back and went, oh, dunno. But actually, I remember being very new to video jukeboxes. Under Cover of the Night was played everywhere. I remember NME calling Keith Richards the human riff because it had such a great kind of rock and roll riff on it. I've been playing it quite a bit recently. I have to say the She Was Hot track is a bit kind of like, it's one that I'd prefer to skip. Although the last couple of times I played it, I've just let it run through. But there's quite a few tracks on here that have kind of a almost reggae funk feel. And at the time, those would have been the tracks that I kind of didn't like. But now they're the ones I play the most. So Undercover of the Night, Undercover even, is by the Stones, and I've been playing that quite a bit. What else? Also on my playlist this week, I've just interviewed a musician who I've interviewed before called Captain of the Lost Waves. His new album is called Beautiful Ugly. It's been reviewed in Prog magazine, who've given it a fantastic review, and it's been reviewed in lots of places. I'm saying Prog magazine because it doesn't really remind me of prog, really. It does have a Tangerine Dream feel to it musically, or Vangelis, as the captain listens to a lot. But it has a very emotive, melancholy feel to it. But where this artist really kind of ticks the boxes for me is his vocal delivery. His vocals are rich and warm, and they're sung, but sometimes it almost feels like someone's whispering quite loudly in your ear while you're sat on the sofa. It's kind of a strained, but a voice that's so full of feeling. And when I spoke to the captain and said that when I played this album at home, anyone who was visiting us or in their house, doesn't matter what volume I put this album on, they said, who is this?
Not because they're going, who is this? Take it off, because they want to know who it was, because they just, well, this is really nice album. And it is. As you know, I firmly feel that music changes stuff and helps us on all sorts of mental and physical levels. And this to me is one of those albums that infiltrates the room and how you're feeling and changes it in a very positive way. I would really recommend streaming that. It's going to be new to you. Some of you might remember I spoke to the Captain of Lost Waves before, but this album to me is his best yet. It's very different to what he's done before, I feel. Lyrically, it's got the kind of words in it I can't pronounce, which some people might say, well, that's not hard. But it really has. But it's a beautiful record. Beautiful Ugly by the Captain of Lost Waves. Give it a listen. I'm on a bit of a Hawkwind path as well. This is an album I have on vinyl a couple of times, but I've been playing the box set, and it's Warrior on the Edge of Time. This seems quite quaint having a small box like this, considering the recent Hawkwind box sets have been 4 times the size. This is the Steven Wilson remix of this album, which came out in 1975, which is seen by many as being one of Hawkwind's finest moments. It is. But it's also the one that has Kings of Speed on it, which I bought. I bought that as a single at the time, which I really like that track. And of course, it also has Motorhead on it, doesn't it? The track, if I remember rightly. Yes, that's right. You see, because Motorhead was the B-side of Kings of Speed, which is where obviously Lemmy went on to next, for those of you who are new to the world of rock and roll. And it's a lot slower. But this is a great album. I love the 5.1 mix. I have to say Stephen W. Taylor's remixes of the other Hawkwind albums are, to me, they're more exciting. But I think Mr. Wilson kind of doesn't want to do too much to take you away from what you know, which is fine. Whereas Mr. Taylor does. And I think a lot of Hawkwind albums always sounded like they had a blanket over the speakers to me. Okay. But this is great. And that's just what I've been listening to. Love it. Isn't that artwork great? Warrior on the Edge of Time. Guitarists. This is from the album box set called Searching for the Spark. My mind went blank then. And it's a giant box set, which I've yet to unbox and review for you. And it's by Steve Hillage. This is Live Herald. Many of you will know this. At the time, I saw Mr. Hillage as being a bit of a woolly-hatted hippie-type character, and I think some of that prejudice stopped me listening to some of his stuff. When I listened to the Salmon song, the Dervish riff, Castles of the Cloud, Hurdy-Gurdy Men, Light in the Sky, Search for Spark, etc., the guitar playing, the stuff that Hillage does with that Strat is absolutely amazing. It's just so fluid. It's fantastic. And the fact you have this, it's beyond jazz fusion. I think it's interesting that I've been playing Hawkwind and Steve Hillage, because there is a link in the evolution here of music. They're from the same world, but this kind of instrumentation wasn't really with Hawkwind. But Steve Hillage was really stretching out here with a background that was like way ahead before we really knew what the word ambient or new age or what else was coming around the corner from Gong or whatever, or, the jazz fusion stuff. Live Herald is, I talked about Uriah Heep Live recently, one of these underrated live doubles. But that's kind of like a hard rock album, but this isn't a hard rock album. This is a guitar album. This is a wonderful live double on this CD here. What else have I been playing? I've been doing a bit of Budgie as well. I've been off. I've been mentally in Wales for a couple of bands, I think. Budgie, the first Budgie album, and the track here, Nude, Disintegrating, Parachutist Woman. I don't think many people did song titles like Budgie, did they? I wish I could be in the rehearsal room when they did these, in the group of a tyre fitters, armpit, whatever it was, or Napoleon Bonaparte parts 1 and 2, and there's so many, isn't there? Baby, the best things is powdered milk. I mean, there's the kind of song titles that Budgie came up with. They must have had so much fun, but they had such a great sound. They were closer to Sabbath in their musical outlet, but there was a lot of light and shade. I think Burke Shelley also wanted people to know about his folk, almost funk elements and soul bits to what he listened to. But Tony Borge was really Tony Iommi's kind of like stepbrother, wasn't he? They really were close to that. Homicidal, suicidal, rape of the locks, about getting your hair cut, because that was very important back then. It could happen to anyone at any time. Remember the kind of my mum and dad trying to get me to get my hair cut in the 70s. Terrible times. But anyway, Budgie. That was really good. What else have I been playing? Oh, this is new. Ish. Well, it's new, but the band name isn't. Live at Hillage. Teaze. Yes, that Teaze. Teaze live in Japan. Teaze, that band from the late 70s, early 80s from Canada. It did, that one of those lost bands, one of those lost metal bands. They're back. And this is damn good. I was sitting with Dan, my oldest son, and he said, God, this is a good sounding album. This is guitars. This is proper rock guitars, so proper rock amps, playing proper rock songs, ready to move, back in action, gonna have a good time tonight. Yes, that one. Reach out, come on everybody, come on, hold on. I'm not going to cry anymore. Touch the wind, roses and chrome, flames keep growing, heartless world, younger, reckless and on the loose. And the audience are obviously fully behind them, and the band are so excited. I can't see them, I just know they are from the music. Teaze live at Hillage. It's well worth listening to. And if you remember Teaze, you're there, aren't you? If you've mildly heard of them, and you've got that live Landing in Japan album from when it came out, you're going to love this. The guys are back. They're playing this festival. They're full of energy, and it's a great Friday night, Monday afternoon album, depending on which way you want to wake up. It's really, really good. What else have I been playing? I'm going to go funky now. Two funky bits. This I picked up from a record fair literally the other day, and it's Feel No Fret by the Average White Band. This is 1979. Elaine, my sister, bought this, and then it got lost. And I don't know if it's seen as one of the highlights of Average White Band's career. I don't know. It had a couple of singles on it. When Will You Be Mine? Etc. Feel No Fret. But I really like Average White Band. I love the groove. I love the instrumentation. I love the feel. Great musicians. So many good albums to pick. I know obviously the White Album, Cut the Cake, the next one that came along. But I've always had a soft spot for this. And this is a mint copy, apart from the fact there's a little sticky label that was stuck on it. So I got it for £5. So I'm really, really pleased. The days of, again, there was no polylining in the sleeves back then either. But I'm really pleased to have that. Love the Average White Band. So still staying in a funky kind of mind. The next band are new to me. I've only recently bought this. And this is thanks to Chris Harris, who's one of my patrons. And he said, we were talking about Average White Band. He said, Kokomo, I hope I've said that right, Rise and Shine. And which is the second album. This is on BJO Records, and there is a feel. They were like a pub rock band, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. These are from 1975 and 1976. It's one of these, 2 CD sets. I love it. It's really funky, female vocals, very average white band, a bit of doobies in there as well. It's really feel-good stuff. They didn't break through. I can see why. And the reason why is it's 1975, 1976, and I'm listening to Rainbow Rising and The Perps and Sabbath. I wouldn't have even noticed these guys exist. I wouldn't have noticed. They could have sat in front of me. I could have gone to a pub and they might have been on, and I would have just gone up to the bar and had a few beers. That's my error. Now, because I'm a couple of years older from that period, now it's the kind of music that just expands my horizons. Kokomo, great 2 CD set from BGA Records, who are a great label as well. So I'm glad I've got that. Another person I've interviewed is Leslie Mandoki. I reviewed this album. I've recently talked to him, and the story, when you watch this interview, please watch this interview. This is a guy that's, it's been reinforced how much I love this album because I interviewed Tony Carey from Rainbow, segue in there from my last story, who plays on this. This is an album of just brilliance. Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull, Al Di Meola from, Return to Forever. There's just so many people on it. Simon Phillips. It's soul, it's jazz fusion, it's rock. The story, this is a guy from behind the Iron Curtain, where literally when I was playing Deep Purple in rock to scare my dad, if Leslie had played Deep Purple in rock, he would have scared the government and possibly been arrested. So he had to be smuggled out of the country to get to Germany to follow his dream. His dream was at one time playing on stage with Jack Bruce. And he did, at the Hammersmith Odeon. And Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. What a story. Watch the interview. It'll be out very, very soon. But this, A Memory of Our Future, is fantastic record. Fantastic. What else have I been listening to? There's a lot this week, so I hope you're all doing all right. Shall we go? Where should we go from that? That segued quite well, because that was Average White Band, Kokomo, and then Mandoki Soulmates. So soul. Have I got anything else that leads to that? I think I have, actually. I'm going to go to jazz next. Yes, I'm going to jazz, because I have been listening to a lot of stuff. Live doubles. I've already done Steve Hillage, one of the underrated live double albums of the 70s. And I'd recently done Uriah Heep Live, as I said, 73. And there's another one, but this time it's jazz. And it's Weather Report, 8:30. Again, going back to meet young Phil Aston. What did you think of Weather Report, Phil, back in 1978? Well, they hadn't got any guitars, had they? They didn't have a guitarist, so why would I listen to them? Oh, I don't know. But you were into jazz then, weren't you? Yeah, I was, actually, because I'd obviously discovered Tommy Bolin and come taste the band, introduced me to Billy Cobham, so I was listening to Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra, lots of things. But Weather Report always felt to be a step beyond where I could go, because there were no guitars. That didn't last that long, to be fair, but it's only been more recent years that my love of Weather Report has kind of mushroomed in the way that it has. And this album, which is seen to capture this particular lineup, like we think of the classic Purple lineups. Jazz bands had classic lineups as well, and this is the classic lineup of Weather Report. Why is it? Well, for me, it's because of Jaco Pastorius. because he is just amazing bass player. In fact, we talked about Uriah Heep, 1973, and I did mention this guy when I did my video about bass players that have changed the world. This guy, I feel, changed the world of bass playing. Jaco Pastorius, amazing, absolutely amazing. I think there's even a track on there which basically is just him. Bass solo called Slang. I have multiple versions of this on Weather Report box sets, Japanese CD versions, and this vinyl version, 1979. I haven't had that long, probably about a year, and it was one of those live albums I just felt that I wanted to have on vinyl. But is it a good place to start a weather report? Yeah, why not?
I can't tell your location because of your settings. Where would you like to hear the weather for?
And as I'm doing this video, I don't know whether you heard that, but Siri on my computer, because I've said the word weather, now thinks that I want to talk about the weather. God, modern technology, eh? Anyway, so Weather Report. Great album. I'm going to stay with jazz for the next album as well, and this I've had for ages. It's from, bear with me, Herbie Hancock. God, this is a massive box set. I should probably show you this. Not today, because this video will never end. But look at that. Look at that. Eh? Oh, it's massive. This is Manchild from 1975. This is great jazz funk. My love of this genre of music just grows and grows with each passing year, because it's more, to me, it's something that needs more time. That each pass of my ears, I pick up something different. It creates a different mood. I think, although I love music with vocals in, obviously, there's something about sometimes instrumental music that's challenging at first. Sometimes it just opens different doors to different kind of oral experiences that other music doesn't sometimes do. But this Manchild is the Herbie Hancock album of the week. I think I'm going to shift now towards rock for the end. Am I? Or shall I go to acoustic guitar-y type stuff? Guitars. Yeah, guitars. And then I'll drift somewhere else. Those of you who stayed with me this long, thank you. I've only just got this. And I've interviewed Guitarscape by Steve Howe. I've interviewed Steve Howe twice in 2024. The guitarist from Yes and Asia. I've interviewed Steve Howe twice this year. The guy I saw at Bingley Stafford Hall in Bingley, well, you know what I mean, on the Going for the One tour, Yes. And I've spoken to him twice. Talked about guitars. Talked about set lists for Yes. And this is his latest solo album, which is very, very restrained. You'd expect a guitar solo album from a guitarist as technical as Steve Howe to just be about saying kind of, look at me. This is really about very subtle melodies that just float out of the speakers. Some of them are fragments. They're tiny. It's a mood piece. It's very different to any other Steve Howe solo album, I feel. Very different. I would definitely stream it first, and it won't be what you expect. But it really is a beautiful album. I can say here, some of the tracks, 1 minute 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 1 minute 46. That's not what you expect from Steve Howe, is it? There's some stuff that's a bit rocky on it, but mainly it's one of these albums you put on to change the atmosphere of your room. And I don't mean it's ambient music that you put on and you make a cup of tea and you forget and you only remember to come back in because you need to change it over. It's not like that, but it is different. Last acoustic album, we're nearly there, everybody. Nick Drake. 5 Leaves Left. That Island sampler. You can all join in, but it wasn't that one. It was Nice Enough to Eat. Had a track from this album on it. It was a sampler from Island Records that I bought 49 pence from W.H. Smith, so it could have been Million Educational, I think. And it introduced me to Bloodwind Pig, Heavy Jelly, Free, lots of bands, but also singer-songwriter called Nick Drake, who my sons love, my wife loves, the whole world loves Nick Drake now. He never sold anything at the time. All of the albums are different. So they appear in adverts and TV dramas, you know. It's great. You know, Island Records said these records would never go out of print in respect to the memory of Nick Drake. But his guitar playing, his guitar tunings meant that when he did play live, which he hated doing, he had to change his guitar tuning between each track and he couldn't cope with the pressure, really. So A Tortured Soul. But the tracks here, Time Has Told Me, that's the one from the compilation. Riverman, who Boy George is going to cover that. Way to Blue, Days Done, Cello Song, Thoughts of Mary Jane, Man in the Shed, Saturday Sun, and the best track of all, Fruit Tree. Famous but a Fruit Tree. I think Fruit Tree is one of those songs that really sums up the pressure of going out in front of the limelight and trying to share your art with others and how it feels and the loneliness of it. And, you know, I think it's a wonderful song. I think it's a great song. So there's been some Nick Drake going on. And finally, I'm going to finish on some rock. Deep Purple will be last. And last but one is Dream Theater from the album Score. And I've only been focusing on one track on this. I've not been playing all 3 discs. I've only been playing Octavarium, which is 26 minutes long because of the solo from Jordan Rudess on it, the start, the feeling of that. It's like Genesis on steroids. It's one of my favourite Dream Theater tracks of all time. This version, which I've also got on DVD, is probably my favourite live version of a Dream Theater track of all time. And the track after that is Metropolis, which is as one of the best riffs from Dream Theater of all time. I just love that. And finally, some Deep Purple. 2 CDs by Deep Purple, both featuring Tommy Bolin on guitar, which, without realising it, segues from my introduction to jazz. The albums are Days May Come, the 1975 California Rehearsals, and the follow-up to that, which came out roughly about 2 weeks later, the 1975 California Rehearsals Part 2, which was all the stuff that wasn't quite good enough to be on the first CD, debatable, and a couple of jams, but that was it. It was quite short, and there wasn't really much of a booklet. But this one has a fantastic booklet. I'll do a separate feature because I want to do something big in 2025 and Tommy Bolin. But if you love me, the jam is 10 minutes long. I got Nothing for You, 13 minutes long. Dance to the Rock and Roll, 12 minutes long. It's recorded on cassette. They're at Pirate Sound. You know, Richie was also around the corner at Pirate Sound with Rainbow Rising rehearsing as well, and Purple were there. And this shows you a side of Tommy Bolin's playing that, for those of you who only knew Come Taste the Band or Last Concert, which was me at one point, you didn't realise behind the scenes what was going on where they were jamming and pulling together these songs, because you realise that the pressure to say, Tommy, we are Deep Purple, is that kind of shaped him into where they were going, especially with the live set. But when you listen to the fluidity of his playing on these jams, these 10, 12 minute, 30-minute jam songs on here, and he's playing is like so fast, so fluid, so emotive, so turned on, tuned on, so Tommy Bowling. All those little licks that you knew was him. It's absolutely incredible. I haven't played this for ages, and I've enjoyed it so much. And of course, you've got Stage Through Blues on here, which you may know from the Allmans. Drifter, there's different versions of that. And of course, you've got bits that came along that were part of David Coverdale's solo album as well. But yeah, Days May Come, Deep Purple. This was, of course, was on the old Purple Records thing. I think it's long gone now, but it's a really hefty booklet in it. It's great stuff. So that has been quite a varied playlist from me, but I've really enjoyed it. And I'm obviously, there's one more. Shall I? Oh yeah. This is different because I've been listening to Lisa Gerrard as well. Who? The composer from Gladiator. She's got a new album out on vinyl. Wow Rider, motion picture. This is one of my favourite films. This is one of my favourite films ever. And the soundtrack by Lisa Gerrard is just so... I just find it really, really uplifting and moving. It's an incredible film. It's magical. It's a spiritual experience almost, but I just love this album. And yeah, this is a good way to end because of all the things I've been playing. I wanted something that kind of bookended it. And Well Rider is a damn fine album. Damn fine album. When did that come out? I can't see. But it's really, really good. So that has been the world at Now Spinning Magazine this week, on my turntable, on my CD drive, in the car, out of the car, around the house, all over the place. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you've been playing. What have you recently discovered? What do you think? Let me know. Check out the website, and please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Remember, you can buy Now Spinning merch as a t-shirt. If you become a Patron or YouTube member, you get access to the Now Spinning Magazine Facebook group, which is a private group for like-minded people, and you also get access to the WhatsApp group as well, plus 2 virtual meetups on Zoom every month as well. It's full of fun. Now Spinning Magazine, it's the place to be. So thank you, take care, remember music is the healer and the doctor, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.